Welcome back. Donald Trump often says he knows how to win. It's a line he uses over and over in his speeches. But just 5 weeks from Election Day, the spotlight is on the report by the New York Times of Trump's loss of nearly $1 billion in his 1995 tax returns. Now, Trump has said he knows the tax code better than anyone and has used the tax laws brilliantly. Tonight, senior investigative correspondent Drew Griffin drills down on how a loss that huge may not have been a loss at all, at least not in the way that most of us would think.
They are just 3 pages of what appears to be Donald Trump's state tax returns from 21 years ago. Hardly enough to know the real picture of Donald Trump's wealth and taxes. But it is this stunning figure that has led to massive speculation, an almost $916 million loss. For what? Trump isn't saying. But in the backwards logic of real estate developers, complex tax laws, and the lawyers who exploit them, it could be that Trump has become wealthy, that he wins by losing.
Mr. Trump was a spectacular loser. He lost a lot of money from the casinos. He lost a lot of money from Trump Shuttle, the airline shuttle. And he lost a lot of money from the Plaza Hotel in New York. Across the board, losing money, apparently.
My sister, I guess.
Now, some of those losses may have been inflated by the generous tax sheltering that's afforded real estate developers and active managers of businesses.
We can't see Donald Trump's tax records, but experts speculate the $960 million loss may not exactly be a loss at all, at least not a loss of Trump's money. Richard Lipton, a real estate tax expert in Chicago, says a quirk in an old law, since changed in 2002, so favorably benefited real estate developers that it is highly likely Donald Trump's 1995 write-off was actually a write-off of borrowed money.
There was basically a real estate depression at that time. And the way the law worked at that point in time, if the losses were funded by debt, the losses would flow through to the developers, so you could easily see big numbers. I had one client who had a loss over $950 million during that time frame, individual, just like Mr. Trump.
How did it work? Take this simple example. A real estate developer wants to build a $100 million building. He puts up just $1 million of his own money, then borrows $99 million from a bank. If the entire project goes belly up, the bank loses its $99 million. The developer loses his $1 million. But on his tax return, that real estate developer can write off the entire $100 million loss if the bank writes off his debt, which happened a lot. Lipton, interviewed by speakerphone from Chicago, says it was an unattended gift from a poorly written tax code.
That was the quirk in the law, Drew. The taxpayer did not have to pick up the cancellation of debt income. He just got the loss.
I'm gasping.
I understand why you're gasping, but it is just what the law said.
Taxpayer groups who keep an eye on Congress and the bills passed here say none of this is surprising.
That's exactly why we need to really look at the whole tax code and do a comprehensive reform and make decisions based on math, kind of how much money do we need to raise to pay for the government that we collectively want.
Drew, I'm so glad you did that explainer because it really sort of helps me understand. I think a lot of people, it sounds as if Trump may well have been taking those big write-offs based in large part on other people's money or banks' money. Is there any way to know for sure?
Well, there's certainly a way to know if Donald Trump would just release his taxes. Show us what a genius he is and show us how this tax strategy works. But right now we just have these 3 pages from a state tax form, 21 years old, and the rest of all this is just all speculation on what it means.
And Drew, there was some news today as well about the Trump Foundation.
Yes, the Democratic Attorney General from New York over the weekend sent the Trump Foundation a letter saying, listen, you need to cease and desist any solicitation of money because you are not properly registered with the state of New York. It turns out that the Trump Foundation hadn't filed the proper paperwork to be a legitimate charity in the eyes of the state of New York. So the Attorney General there says, look, you can't raise any more money until you do. He continues to investigate the Trump Foundation. And I say Democratic Attorney General of New York because part of the response from the Trump campaign was to raise an allegation that this may be more politics than substance, although the Trump campaign says, listen, we are going to comply with the state of New York and we are going to comply with the Attorney General's investigation. We will get the paperwork filed.
All right, Drew Griffin, appreciate the update. Thank you. Just ahead, on the eve of the vice presidential debate, revealing pop quiz in Central Park. How many people knew Tim Kaine and Mike Pence's names and what they actually look like?
Rosalia, fantastic. Give that up.